Hi everyone, welcome back. It's been a while since my face has been in the videos. I've been doing a ton of declutters, as you probably know, and I thought we would kind of break them up a bit and do a really fun video today. So I have the new products from e.l.f. I'm so excited. The e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. What I'm most excited about, the e.l.f. Under Eye Brighteners, and one of the new e.l.f. eyeshadow palettes. So I thought we could do a video testing these out, and that's what we're going to do today. If you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty and makeup content here on YouTube every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I am posting 5 days a week in June, so I hope you'll subscribe, join our little family here, and let's just get into it. All right, let's just get right into it. We're gonna start with this. So this is the new Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. So I wasn't actually gonna buy this, but I was on the website ordering the under eye brighteners because y'all know me. If a new correctors comes out, you know I will be testing it. So I was on there ordering those, and I saw this on the new page as well. So I figured since I'm doing a video with e.l.f. products, we would try this too. This is very interesting. So I'm assuming this is supposed to be similar to the Tatcha Silk Liquid Primer. I'm assuming, like the Poreless Putty, the original was like the Tatcha Poreless Putty Primer or whatever it's called. I can't even think of it. But let's try this out. I have used the Poreless Putty Primer from e.l.f. a few times here and there. It's not something I use a lot, and typically when I do, I only use it like right in this area. I don't typically put it all over my face, but I'm excited to try this out. So this has squalane in it, which is a really nice skin ingredient. I have no idea how much to apply. It's a pretty liquidy texture. And I did prep. Ooh, okay. I did prep my skin just normal today. I didn't use anything that I haven't used 1,000 times before. That feels really, really nice. It does not feel like a typical pore smoothing primer that feels really silicone-y. This feels almost serum-like, a little bit hydrating, but also kind of smoothing at the same time. Very different texture. I have never tried the Tatcha Liquid Silk Primer, so I can't compare it to that because I've never tried it, but that feels really nice. I don't notice any scent either, which is also a good thing. Zoomed you in quite a bit. I was looking at the back of this, and it says, first of all, it tells you to apply all over, then press in with your fingertips, which I kind of did that anyway. I didn't even know that they said to apply it that way, but that's what it says. And then it says allow at least 30 seconds to set before applying additional makeup on top. So I did. It's been probably about 2 or 3 minutes now since I applied this. So overall, my skin now definitely looks significantly less dewy and glowy like it normally does because I do apply quite a bit of skincare underneath my makeup. So it definitely did way, way, way tone down any shine that I have. And I do feel like, especially like right here in this area, it definitely looks a bit more just smooth. I feel like this can be very promising, but we'll see how foundation applies over the top. But first impression on this is nice. I also did want to note, it does say it's a universal sheer color. So it does look like it has a bit of a tint when you're just looking at it in your hands, but it blends away. So it doesn't give any color to your skin. We're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of foundation, and then we'll move on to the under eye brighteners. I'm gonna use a foundation that I know that I really like. So we're gonna use this one from Revlon. This is the Skin Caring Foundation in 117, which is definitely gonna be a little bit light for me right now, but that's okay. We'll just make it work. So I do have a lot more sun than I typically do, but I want to make sure I use something that I've used a bunch that I know that I like with this primer. So if anything weird happens, I know it's the primer, it's not anything else. And you guys, I just cleaned all my makeup brushes. So literally everything is like clean, like squeaky clean. So here's the foundation over the top of that primer. So nothing is pilling up or anything like that, which is good. That always makes me nervous when I try new primers that I've not tried before. I will say, I definitely think my face is less glowy than it typically is with this. This is a pretty glowy foundation. So I still do have a good bit of glow, like you can see. It's still there, but it definitely is toned down quite a bit. And honestly, the foundation looks really nice over the top of that primer. I don't know that I think it's like the most blurring primer that I've ever used on my skin, but I do think it definitely tones down that dew luminosity that I typically see from this, without totally getting rid of it entirely, which is what I really like in primer. I like, if I'm going to use a smoothing or a pore filling primer, I don't want it to totally take the life out of my skin. That's just my personal preference. I do not have oily skin though. My skin is very normal. I wouldn't say it's dry or oily. It just is, it's normal. Sensitive, but normal. So for my skin type, I think this is going to work really well, and I think the foundation looks nice over the top, but we'll see how it is as we progress through the video. But so far, very good first impression on the primer. Let's get into these. Y'all know I was so excited to see this from e.l.f. So these are the Putty Color Correcting Eye Brighteners. And you guys, I had the hardest time figuring out the colors online. I could not tell how dark or light the shades were, so I just ordered 4 of them. 2 of them, I might not even be able to use all of these, but I figured it would at least be a helpful video, hopefully, so you could see the colors too on my skin tone. They do have swatches on the e.l.f. website, but even the swatches, some of the shades looked lighter to me in the swatch than they do when you just see it in the pan. So I couldn't tell how light or dark they are. So I just ordered them. So these retail for $6, which is an amazing price point. It says these are an under eye brightener that primes skin for concealer and works to correct the appearance of dark circles. So basically they are saying you use this under concealer, which is interesting because typically when I think of using a product under concealer, I think of a corrector, but they're calling this a brightener, which to me, I would think would go over the top of a corrector or a concealer, but that's what they say. Features color correcting peach hues to reduce the appearance of dark circles. Illuminating pearls brighten your under eyes. Unique putty formula offers medium coverage and effortless blending. Primes and smooths skin to extend the wear of concealer, and infused with squalane, hyaluronic acid, and ginseng root extract. This comes in 6 shades and it's $6. I believe as of now you can only get these on the e.l.f. website. I don't think they've been released to other retailers yet. But since I have 4 of them, let's do some swatches. We'll start with the lightest shade, which is Fair. I'm also very curious to know how these compare to the new NARS under eye brighteners that I've done a video on, but this is what it looks like. So it's in the exact same packaging as the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. It's a little bit smaller, but basically the same packaging. This is the lightest shade, which is Fair. So looks like a pink. I could not tell online, like I said, how light this was. I also saw in the comments where these were released that there were a lot of people saying that the lightest shade wasn't light enough or at least that's what they were assuming based on the swatches. So I don't know. So it definitely feels pretty hydrating on my finger. All right, so the pink is there. So it's pretty light. I don't know. I did see a lot of comments though about how the lightest shade wasn't light enough. Then we go to light medium, which light medium looks like a completely different undertone, which it is. So it looks like this. Looks definitely a bit peachy, but also a little bit orangey, which kind of makes me nervous. Y'all know how I feel about brighteners, color correctors. I feel like a lot of times they call them peach and they're not really. They're very orangey. My initial impression just based on these swatches, so this is light medium. This is fair. So there's a very big difference here. The swatches are very sheer. They don't feel super pigmented at all. They feel very, almost like a balmy consistency with pretty sheer pigment. But again, they may look totally different on my eyes, but I just want to throw that out there. All right, we'll just go ahead and swatch these other ones because I have them and curious. Who knows? Maybe we can use one of these darker shades as a color corrector. I don't know. We'll see. So this is the next shade, which is medium tan. Yeah, so this one looks even orangier. So that is medium tan, light medium, and fair. All right, and then the last one I think is Tan Deep. The reason I got this one was in the swatches, this shade looked pretty peachy. It looked dark, but it looked like a true peach, not super, super orangey, but I don't know, we'll see. So this is what it looks like in the pan. It's definitely pretty dark. All right, so we've got fair, light medium, medium tan, and Tan Deep. So yeah, Tan Deep I do think has a bit more of the peach in it. It's not as orangey. I don't know though, maybe it is and it's just hard to tell. Definitely a different consistency than I was thinking they were going to be. It feels a bit like the NARS under eye brighteners, the texture, but these definitely feel like they have less pigment, like a lot less pigment. Okay, so I'm gonna use shade Fair first, and I am gonna start with my right eye. Now my right eye is not quite as dark as my left eye. This one is always darker. So I usually have to work a little bit harder over here than I do over here. And I did prep my under eyes like, I don't know, 15 or 20 minutes ago with the Bobbi Brown eye base. But I'm gonna use my finger. Sometimes I use a brush with this kind of thing. I'm gonna use my finger first. So let's go in and try this out. So there it is. As I was applying it, yeah, it feels like almost nothing on your finger. So it is very thin and lightweight. So that definitely added some brightness. If you are familiar with my channel, I'm sorry, this is probably kind of repetitive to say, but I don't typically go in with something this light first under my eyes personally, just because typically my darkness is too dark to put something this light over it and expect much of anything to happen. Sometimes that can just kind of turn things gray, which is why I typically use a color corrector that is as dark, if not a little bit darker than the depth of my discoloration, and then add something brighter over the top. That usually gives the best result, in my opinion. It's very sheer though. I don't know if it will pick up on camera. Like when I look up close right here, from a distance it looks pretty good. But up close, I mean, you see a lot of the purple still peeking through underneath. I'm gonna kind of tap it a little bit. It's very like emollient feeling as well. So I feel like if you use a lot of this, you're also probably gonna get some creasing. So we'll leave this eye for now. We're gonna put something over the top, don't worry. But let's use light medium on this eye, which is my darker eye. So this is the one that is much more, I would say, orangey. I know that they say it's peach. To me, peach is not, peach has a little bit of pink in it. There is no pink here. But let's just try this out on this eye. That, I mean, I feel like that didn't do a whole lot. You can very clearly see all the darkness underneath. I mean, it definitely brightened just a little bit because it added a veil of color over that dark purpley blue pigment. But I mean, I don't feel like it did a whole lot. This is the type of product I would typically think to use alone. I don't think of a brightener like this as like something you would apply first and then concealer over the top, but that's what they're saying to do. You guys have to let me know what you think. So we have fair over here, light medium over there. In my perfect world, there would be one that is like a mix of these two colors. A little bit of pink, a little bit of this. I feel like that would be better. Since they say to apply concealer over these, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna use the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Light Peach. And we'll see how these look with concealer over the top. So we'll do one eye at a time. I'm gonna start with the right eye, which is the fair shade. Then I'm gonna use a clean brush. This is the A506 from BK Beauty, and just tap this in. We'll do the other eye and then compare. So I'm just using a little bit of this e.l.f. concealer. So this eye has the fair brightener, the light peach on top. This eye has light medium corrector and the light peach on top. So the concealer definitely applied well over the top of the brightener. I'm not surprised by that because the brightener, like I said, is so thin and sheer. I can see where they're coming from with it kind of primes the under eyes because it does. It's very thin, it's hydrating. I can see that aspect. In terms of which eye looks better, this eye, I don't know if it will come off on camera, but in real life, in person, this eye looks better. The one with the light medium brightener underneath, as opposed to this one. And the reason for that is because on this eye, we put something light, much, much lighter than the darkness on first, and then put something else kind of light over the top. Whereas with this one, we did apply something a bit deeper in terms of matching the depth of the darkness first, and then we put something light on, which to me, that's how you get the best corrected under eye if you have a lot of darkness under your eyes. So to me, in real life, this eye looks better, but neither looks bad. The fair side doesn't look bad. It's just in real life, you see more, if you look up really, really close, you see a lot more darkness on this side than you do on this side. What I want to do now is remove these and apply a darker one like I would a color corrector, and either apply concealer over the top or one of these lighter ones over the top and see how that works, since I have them, just out of curiosity. So I'm gonna remove this and I'll be back. I removed everything under my eyes and I re-primed them with some eye cream, and I let that sit for like 3 or 4 minutes. So we should be good to go in with the darker shade. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna put concealer over these or if I'm gonna put a lighter shade of the brightener over it. I don't know, we'll see. Let's go in with this shade, which is medium tan. So this is the one, this looks the most like orangey to me of all of them. And since we're using darker shades now, I am gonna apply them with a brush so I can really focus them only where I have most of the darkness. I don't really want to spread these out because they're a lot darker than my skin tone. So I'm gonna take a little bit on this small brush. This is a Spectrum Katie Jane Hughes number 15 brush. And I'm gonna put this shade over here. and I'm just focusing it right where I have majority of the darkness, which is right here. So you can already kind of see how that corrected a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit more right here in this inner corner because I also get some darkness there as well. So to me, that one almost did a better job than the light medium shade in terms of just correcting the darkness. Obviously, it's a little dark for my skin tone, so I couldn't wear it by itself. I would have to put something over the top, but still very sheer. I mean, you can definitely still see the pigment peeking through there. All right, let's go in on the other eye with the darkest one, which is Tan Deep. So I'm just gonna flip the brush to the other side and we'll go in with this one. Okay, so medium tan is over here and Tan Deep is over here. All right, I'm gonna do concealer because that's how they say to apply them. So we'll go back in with the Light Peach Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I'm gonna apply a little bit to both eyes. So this one is the medium tan shade with the light peach on top. This one is Tan Deep with the light peach on top. So right away, I personally think applying the darker brightener shades and then the concealer looks better. I just think it gives a better overall look than the lighter shades and then putting concealer over the top. I definitely don't think I get as much correction though still from these that I get from a traditional color corrector, but it's not bad by any means. You could definitely make it work. My under eyes definitely look pretty good right now. Now, I don't know how this is gonna wear under my eyes. I'm a little bit skeptical because of how thin and balmy they are. I don't know how well these are going to stay in place or if it'll impact the wear of the concealer over the top. So we'll have to see. But I definitely prefer putting the darker shades down first and then the concealer that's lighter over the top. Obviously, if you don't have a lot of darkness and you are a light, fair, light, or light medium skin tone, then yeah, you could definitely just go in with these if you want and wear them alone. If you don't have a lot of darkness. If you do, you're probably gonna wanna pair something over the top. Eye brighteners, I love the concept, and I know they're usually made to just be able to throw on under your eyes to give you a little bit of brightness and kind of counteract darkness. And that works, but if you have a lot of darkness, that's most likely not going to work. So it depends on what you're looking for. Before we move on, I did want to just show, I don't know if you'll be able to see a difference in the swatch or not, but the difference in pigment between these and the NARS under eye brighteners, because I just did a video on these. So like that's the medium or the light medium shade of the under eye brightener from NARS. That is already pretty opaque there, and I did not, that's like from one dip in. I didn't like build up that swatch or anything. Now, let me show you light medium in the e.l.f. one. Hopefully you can see. Do you see how sheer the e.l.f. is compared to this one? Same feel of consistency, but definitely more pigment in the NARS. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my base makeup, and then I'll be back and we will try out this new palette. So I did the rest of my makeup for the most part, and then I just applied a little bit of eye primer to my eyes. I used the Milani eye primer. So now we're gonna move on to this palette. And this is, let's see, Perfect 10 eyeshadow palette. This one is all matte shades, and I believe this was the only one that was all mattes. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. They came out with 4 new tin pan eyeshadow palettes. They retail for $10 each. And of course, I went with this one, the most neutral one in all mattes. But I have to say, I actually really feel like this is a good assortment of colors. It's not totally neutral. You get a little bit of color up here. And I like that it's all matte. That's kind of different. I don't have too many palettes that are all matte. But let's just dive in and try this out. I am going to go into the cream matte shade first, and I'm just going to apply this all over. Now I know, ooh, that's super pigmented. I'm pretty sure these replaced some other palettes that e.l.f. used to have that were tin panned. I think they were in like a black palette packaging, I want to say. I never tried those, so I'm not sure how the quality was on those. I have tried a bunch of the e.l.f. bite-size palettes, and those are really nice. So this shade is applying really well, much more pigmented actually than I was thinking it was going to be. So I'm just applying this all over, all the way up to my brow. All right, and I'm using a 212 brush from BK Beauty. I'm gonna go into this shade here. It's a warmer matte brown, and I'm just gonna use that same brush and apply this in the crease. Ooh, okay. Very pigmented. And okay, they're applying and blending out really well so far. That shade, that's interesting. In the pan, it looks, I don't know, it looks like kind of a yellowy brown. Then on the eyes, it translates almost a little bit orangier in tone. I think I want to use a little bit of this shade. So this one is more of like a taupey, grayish brown. I want to add a little bit of this to kind of balance out that warm shade. So I'm applying this starting in the outer corner and just kind of blending up into that crease shade. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I bet this would be really pretty in the crease as well. Yeah, so this formula is really nice. Sometimes, you know, drugstore eyeshadows, sometimes, not always, they can be kind of hit or miss. I'm liking this a lot so far. The formula is super creamy. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of this purple, and I switched to a smaller brush. This is a Spectrum KJH 17. And I'm just gonna apply this in this very outer corner, very precisely, almost kind of where I would do eyeliner. Love that, super pretty. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. I really want to try, I think this is black. Kind of almost looks navy a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to take that shade though in an angled brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this along my lash line just to see how the pigment is on the darkest shade. And I'm just going to apply this on the outer half of my eye, or my lash line. I always try to use a different brush than this one, and I never end up liking it ever. So I'm going in with the 208 now. It's just it's so perfect for using shadow as liner. It's just the perfect size. It's like the tiniest little angled brush I've ever seen. I'm going to take a little bit of this peachy color here and apply this on the bottom lash line. That's all I'm going to do for shadow. on the bottom. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup. I'll be back and we will wrap up the video. All right, you guys, finished my makeup and I wanted to give you some final thoughts on these products. So we'll start with the primer. I really like this so far. I think my foundation today looks really smooth and pretty over the top of this. And like I said in the earlier clip, I like that. I feel like this definitely did tone down a lot of the shine on my face, but not entirely. So I did have a little bit of glow left over from my foundation, which I really liked. And yeah, overall, I enjoyed applying it. It feels really good. It's not scented and it feels hydrating, but also definitely does take down some of that shine, like I said. So I think this is definitely promising. I want to use it with other things, obviously, see what I think, but my foundation is laying really, really nicely over that primer. Okay, the under eye brighteners. So I did not set my under eyes, so this is how they look without any powder at all. So again, this side had the medium tan corrector with the camo concealer on top, and then this side had the tan deep corrector with the concealer on top. And overall, my under eyes look pretty good. Honestly, they have not creased a whole lot, which is kind of surprising since I didn't use any powder. I do feel like, and I don't know, hopefully it will show on camera, I feel like I have lost some coverage and I feel like my darkness is definitely starting to peek through more than it was earlier. So I feel, I don't know, I'm iffy on the under eye brighteners. I think I love the idea. I love that they did this because I know this is a super popular kind of product. I don't know that this is going to work for everyone. It depends on you and your under eyes. Like I said, they're sheer, so you don't get a lot of color here. I did want to mention as well, I was looking at the packaging and they say these give medium coverage. I don't think you get medium coverage from this. I would say this is like a light to light medium at the very most. These are extremely sheer. If you're someone that doesn't have a ton of darkness, you have a little bit of discoloration, but not much, and you just want something quick that you can use your finger, throw on under your eyes to give you a little bit of brightness, that you would like this. If you were like me and you have significant darkness under the eyes, I don't know that you're gonna love this applied this way, like they suggest, which is to apply these first and then put concealer over the top. I don't think they're beneficial enough for me and my under eyes personally to use something like this over just a traditional color corrector from Bobbi Brown or Pixie. To me, that works much better because it gets rid of so much of the darkness that I don't even need a ton of concealer on top. I feel like I typically rely mostly on my corrector to do most of the work so that I don't need a lot of concealer. And I feel like you're not going to get that from these. You would really need to put something over the top of it if you have a lot of darkness under your eyes. And I feel because of the formula and how balmy and sheer they are, I don't know that these would wear well on their own under your eyes. I think you would need to apply something over the top if you're really wanting it to stay all day long. So it depends on you and how you're wanting to use them. I think they're not bad, but I'm not overly impressed. I kind of feel the same way about these that I did about the camo color correctors that came out, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer. I was not a huge fan of those from e.l.f. either. I found those to be also pretty sheer. And that one, I think they claimed was full coverage. It is not, in my opinion. That was definitely not full coverage from a color corrector either. So I don't know. Overall, the color correcting products from e.l.f. I would say are not the best. Now, the one thing we did not try is maybe using a traditional color corrector and then popping a bright shade over the top. Now that might work fine, but they're saying to apply this to bare under eyes. as like a base for concealer, and I just don't know if that's gonna work for a lot of people. So for these, I'm a little bit disappointed, I have to say. I don't think they're great. I would say these are similar to the NARS under eye brighteners, but to me with the NARS, you get significantly more pigment. So I would choose NARS over these. But like I said, it depends on you and what you're looking for. So I hope that helps you. And then the eyeshadow palette. This is great, you guys. If you want a new eyeshadow palette, comes in 4 colors. This is called Summer Breeze. They all were pretty. This is just the one I thought that I would use the most, but I had no issues with these shadows. The very, very smooth, buttery formula. Very easy to apply, not patchy. They applied really seamlessly, all of the shades that I used. So yeah, I would say this is a definite win for sure. Very impressed with this. And I love the all matte palette. I think that's different. It's not something that I have in my collection. And I like that they have a really good variety of shades in here. You get some lighter shades, but also the deeper shades to darken it up if you want. The purple was beautiful, and the black applied well as eyeliner, not patchy or skippy in any way. So this is a definite win for sure. So that is going to be it for this video. I will wear this makeup today, and if I notice anything different or significant in the wear, I will add it in the description box when I upload this video. But hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you're going to try any of these products from e.l.f. Let me know your thoughts. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe if you have not already, and follow me on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you next time for another video. Remember, simply be you. Bye.